ending tonight.
If there ends up being a slight difference in this fight, in my opinion, it's going to be the hand speed and movement of Marez.
I agree with you, Al.
If that gets him this decision.
Yes.
Marez left hook, double left hook, under and over. He does it again. Oh, a stiff jab by Marez.
No, let his head go, let his head go.
The punch output of Yonnhy Perez has gone down dramatically in the last several rounds, and normally that's one of his strengths.
You would think that that mean left hook by Marez has taken a lot out of his tank.
And in the whole fight, Marez has thrown a 970 punches to 800 for Perez. These men have been active.
Be careful, you know, the champ has been here before. He stopped his last opponent in the 12th round, and he landed with some good, solid counter punches.
That's a great point, Antonio. A great point.
1:15 to go in the 12th and final round. Looks like Marez, though, has more in his punches right now. Here we go for the IBF bantamweight world title. A minute remaining. Now Perez backing up. Left hook landing for Marez. He's had great head and shoulder movement the entire night. 40 seconds. Marez just moving his hands now. Goes up top, grazes the chin, jabs out of it, keeps pursuing. What a way to start the night in LA. 20 seconds. The champion. Hands down. 12 seconds. Oh, nice 1-2 combination at the end of the round. That may have staggered Perez. Perez in a little trouble. He's wobbling. Oh, what a good start. They knuckled up here in LA. And now this may be a close one to call.
It could very well. Abner in the 12th round landed 41 punches. The emotion and fatigue showing there. And Yonnhy Perez wondering what his fate is now and what could be a very, very close decision.
We keep him. Huh? Okay. Let me take it up. Here, get some water.
Now, folks, before we get the official announcement on our opening fight, let's remind you what we have ahead. We'll show you what's coming up from Showtime Sports, including a look at next month, which features 2 Strikeforce events and the return of the Super 6 World Boxing Classic. We'll preview that Super 6 fight with a look at Andre Ward and Alan Green as they ready for June 19th. And Al Bernstein will share his special look at the trio of triumphant fights between Israel Vazquez and Rafael Marquez as they ready for tonight's 4th chapter in their historic rivalry. That's all still coming up right ahead. And let's take a look at the action from the 12th round.
The hand speed of Abner Marez and his combination punching important, and that was the classic 1-2 combination, but Perez always in this fight.
Yes, even in that replay, Perez landed a good right hand. That left hook was beautiful right there. But did he do enough to close this championship round out and keep his title?
Well, Perez only landed 14 punches in round 12 to 41 by Marez according to punch chart. So you would think that last round would have gone to Marez. A very, very, very close fight. The punch chart from sports media as we look at some of the action at the end, shows you a very big edge for Marez in terms of numbers. And the reason for that is the rounds that Marez won, he won by a bigger number of punches. So don't be deceived by that to think this isn't a close decision. The numbers are accurate, but they're not. They're by round. So
what a tough fight to call. Marez got off to a good start. Perez came on in the middle rounds when Marez danced around the ring, and then at the end it was Marez rallying, and he closed out the 12th round with a flurry. So with all that in mind, it's time for the official decision. Let's go to Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I read our score totals, we've all seen an outstanding 12 rounds of action. How about a hand for both of the fighters, Abner Marez, Yonnhy Perez. Well, fans, after 12 rounds of action, here are the score totals. Judge at ringside, Marty Denkin, scores about 115 to 113 in favor of Abner Marez. Judges at ringside, Gwen Adair and Eugenia Williams both score the bout 114 to 114, even a draw. The decision is a majority draw.
So this fight has been declared a draw, and the champion will hold on to his title.
And you know, it was a very, very close fight.
I think that's a good decision.
You know, I ended up with the fight, a 2-point fight for Marez, but you can easily make the case that it's a draw, and that, or as one judge had it a slight victory. Well, both judges had it a draw for Perez. A draw is probably as far as you can go, but it's not inappropriate.
Yeah, you can't argue with that because, like I said, Yonnhy Perez took over the fight in the middle rounds, and you know, the young star challenger came on in the end. I don't know. I'm curious to see who they gave that 12th round to.
Yeah, you would imagine that 12th round went to Marez. He landed 41 punches according to our punch stats, as opposed to 14 by Perez. But all those middle rounds, as you point out, Antonio, were very, very much controlled by Perez when Marez was moving to a great extent. And those initial rounds where they were going to war were close also. And for Abner Marez, even though he ends up not getting a title and having a draw, he raised his stock tonight with a very superb performance. Yeah,
I would agree with you on that, but I still believe that experience kept the champion title tonight. But
we'll take a look at the judges' scoring now. Gwen Adair, who, by the way, is the first woman ever to referee a professional boxing match, had it a draw. Marty Denkin had it for Marez by 2 points, as I think Antonio and I did, and Eugenia Williams had it a draw, 114-114. So clearly you can see how close this fight is. The volume of punches for Marez, but most of those were split into rounds where he won rounds very big, but some other rounds didn't. And the press row scoring, all had it for Marez. In fact, Steve Springer from the LA.com, ESPNLA.com, had it the biggest margin, and both Francisco Salazar of Fight News and Lance Pugmire from the LA Times had it a 2-point victory, so you can see how close this fight was.
Yeah, I believe around 7 and 8, maybe even 6, they probably gave Marez one of those rounds, and maybe even 2 when he was in retreat boxing. I think the aggression won those rounds, and I think the judges probably agreed with me and gave those rounds to the champion.
And that's why they had it a little closer than the ringside scores. Yeah, I absolutely agree. And then that 12th round probably evened things up for sure for Marez. So let's send things back to Gus Johnson.
All right, Al. So a draw for Marez, Perez, and it looks like we will see those two very good fighters back.